Hi grade 10s, welcome to another pre-lesson tutorial to take you through the pre-lesson activities for the blended learning session you'll be attending on Saturday. I hope that you find the video helpful in guiding you through the various activities. Let's begin by looking at what you need to do for this lesson. This is lesson 14 from the knowledge area chemical change, and we are looking at physical and chemical change. Has a new compound been formed? From CAPS, you need to make sure that you can explain that molecular and ionic substances form due to the types of bonds formed during the chemical reaction, define what is meant by physical and chemical change, and describe the rearrangement of particles that occur during a physical and chemical change. So the schedule for this lesson, the diagnostic video or the diagnostic test you did online, which should have taken you about 30 minutes. There's a feedback video which will be released after the contact session. Then pre-lesson 1 is a video tutorial, should take you 15 minutes. Pre-lesson 2, textbook engagement and summary, will take you about 30 minutes. Then there are some practice exercises for you to do from the textbook. The online session I will see you on Saturday, and then a PhET simulation for the post-lesson activity. Remember, when you see that pause icon, pause the video. Textbook activities are from Siavula, and the YouTube is where you will find the video tutorial. This lesson should take 90 minutes. So the things you will need: make sure you have your notebook to write in, your pen to take notes, highlighters, color pencils to highlight or emphasize important things, and a quiet place to work with access to the internet. So let's learn now. The first pre-lesson activity is a video tutorial. You will need to go to YouTube and you will search for physical and chemical change. This video is from Khan Academy. I've provided the link for you there at the bottom of the page. Now, in this pre-lesson activity, when chemical and physical changes are explained, the same features as before are mentioned. But there's one additional one I want you to look out for. So as you watch the video, please write down the change that is being described in the video. Then provide that should be a, not an, a brief explanation of why it is a chemical or physical change. And this is the new feature. Are bonds being broken or reformed during this change? And then write an equation to represent the change. Enjoy. Pause the video now and do pre-lesson activity 1. Before moving on, I think it's important that I give you some input here. This is a representation of carbon burning in oxygen. In this change, the oxygen molecule, represented by the 2 red circles, are bonded together with a covalent bond. When I burn carbon in oxygen, that bond has got to be broken. When bonds are broken, it is often associated with the release of large amounts of heat and light. Thus, heat and light being formed during a chemical change. But the bonds broken between the oxygen molecules, new bonds form between carbon and oxygen to form the carbon dioxide. This is a representation of the formation of water. The molecules represented by the 2 white circles are hydrogen gas, and the oxygen gas is again represented by the 2 red circles. Now there is a covalent bond between the 2 hydrogen atoms in a hydrogen molecule, and there is a double covalent bond between the 2 oxygen atoms in the oxygen molecule. So, if you remember from last week with the hydrogen balloons, as soon as a little bit of energy is given to the hydrogen in the balloons, it reacts with the oxygen in the air and it causes an explosion, releasing large amounts of heat and light, plus that bang from the explosion. Thus, this is a chemical change. In this explosive change, the hydrogen atoms and the oxygen atoms, where the bonds have been broken, form new bonds. The oxygen bonds with two hydrogen atoms, and they form covalent bonds. So here bonds have been broken and new bonds have been formed, forming a stable compound that is unlike the two reactants in the reaction. Time now to move on to the second pre-lesson activity. This is textbook engagement. You will be using Siavula. And not only will you be reading through a chapter, but I need you to make a summary. This chapter, chapter 12, deals with the particles that substances are made of. And in light of what we are doing in terms of chemical change, you need to look through this chapter so that you can complete the activity on the types of compounds that form during the change that we will be talking about on Saturday. So, particularly, I need you to look at network structures. There are covalent network structures, ionic network structures, and metallic network structures. What is the difference between these type of compounds that form with these kind of network structures is what I need you to include in your summary, and what types of bonds are in these network structures. So, time now to go to the textbook. Remember, you can use the online version of the textbook. Pause the video now and either get your textbook or the PDF version, or go online to Siavula, Everything Science, Grade 10, Chapter 12. Time now to do the final pre-lesson activity. This is textbook practice, where you have to do an activity from the textbook. So, using the Siavula, Everything Science, Grade 10 on the website, find the chapter, the textbook, go down to chapter 12 and click on the end of chapter exercise. Now I would like you to do just three activities. Number 3, you are told about ammonia and you have to say what type of bond it is, write down the molecular formula and draw representations of the molecule. For question 4, you have to state whether the chemical substances listed below are made up of covalent molecular structures, covalent network structures, ionic network structures, or metallic structures. And finally, number 5, you are given a molecule that you have to identify and write down the formula and say what type of bond are formed. Time to pause the video now. Go to chapter 12 and do those 3 questions from the end of chapter exercise. I hope you like this new format for the pre-lesson activities. I think it's important to separate the diagnostic quiz from the actual pre-lesson activity tutorial. So grade 10s, that's the end of this tutorial for the pre-lesson online activities that you need to do. I hope that you are finding this tutorial helpful in helping you move through the different pre-lesson activities. So if you're part of the UP program, I will see you on Saturday in the lesson. If not, look out for my video that summarizes the content and the lesson of the contact session later next week. So thanks for joining me. This is the Opinionated Science Educator.